Cease your dancing. Cease, I say. Enough.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the
Sci-Fi
Rebellion Podcast. Get ready for another Memo Muslim. Sorry we're a little bit behind. You know, life gets in the way sometimes. Technology also says, yo, I'm here and I'm going to be disruptive. So, you know, we got a lot of different things working, but we're back at it with another episode, and we're going to kind of jam-pack a lot into a very finite amount of space. So, get ready for some dense boys coming straight at you. Today, what do we have? We have 2 episodes of Loki. We have 2 episodes of Bad Batch, and definitely just 1 episode of Rick and Morty for sure.
Yeah, there was no other episodes of Rick and
There was
Morty.
no
that
other
anyone needs
episodes
to worry
that
about.
might have come out that people haven't seen.
No.
It basically goes without saying, so we should stop talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get right into it. Let's take this kitchen knife and really slice off some pieces of this.
You say knife?
Hey, put that away. That's a violent weapon. I think YouTube
Jared's-
has rules or something about that.
Jared's one of those knife guys. He pulls out a knife whenever anybody asks for any sort of cutting material.
It's
It
nice,
could be
nice.
Excellent
Somebody's like,
slice.
hey, I need my nails cut. Jared's like, I got a knife! And you just need to have those people around. Speaking of knives, Loki. Very familiar
got
with the
some.
subject matter. He loves his knives.
He likes knives. I'll give him that.
He does. One could argue that he's the god of knives, much as Thor is the god of hammer.
One could say that.
So it's opened up with episode 4. We were talking a little bit of maybe some Loki love, but not to be cut too short by the TVA rescuing them, as the Loki on Loki love literally was like paradoxical, and like even in an apocalypse made it shoot straight off, because he's meant to be alone, and he's meant to lose and suffer, and he was happy and with somebody, so they were like, this is universe shattering. It was a good intro.
I still can't believe that actually was happening too. Especially after
I know.
I jokingly just said that in the last pod. Clearly, I am just a god of theories. I'm just gonna start saying ludicrous stuff now and just expect it to happen, and
That's
then
fair.
maybe after some time I'll get my my ego in check as far as my theories go. But until then,
Yeah,
You get your fill.
I think I think Mobius said it in the episode that, like, when they were kind of discussing when they came back to the TVA, that like he was kind of like deciphering what they were doing together, and he was kind of getting like an itch that he kind of liked her, and he said something along the lines that like only a Loki could fall in love with another Loki because of
Yeah.
their ego.
Uh-huh.
Like, you could only fall in love with one person, and that's yourself.
Because he's so egocentric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it is pretty funny that is basically what it is. They're crushing.
we're made for each other.
I was wondering if it was gonna be like a Stranger Things situation in season 3. Spoilers for that. When like Steve was going after that one like ice cream girl, and she was like, and at the end you're like, oh, there's some romance. Then she's like, oh no, hang on, wrong vibes. I really like you as a friend. I was wondering
Yeah.
if Lady Loki was gonna pull it out, and then Loki's gonna be like, I'm back to being alone.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. Although I feel like it's reciprocated.
I
Definitely.
think so. But they're once again they're both the same person, so they're so like afraid to
Commitment.
make any sort of commitment towards that.
Any
Yeah.
trust, dude? How could a Loki possibly
Exactly.
trust another Loki?
Exactly. And it's just a weird conundrum that they find themselves in because they like each other because they have so much in common. And
I wonder why.
but at the same time, he is a god of mischief and backstabbing. So, yeah, kind of tough. Kind of a tough one to be in.
Speaking of the mistrust and backstabbing, I kind of liked it was almost like Mobius was like a villain role kind of in that episode, like the interrogation, but
A
instead
little
of
bit,
it,
yeah.
in the first few episodes, it's about like him learning, trying to dig a little deeper into Loki, but in a more jovial way. This one, he was like, "You are a liar. I tried to trust you and have you help me out and make you a better person, and you just spat in my face." And then Loki said, "Okay, cards on the table. This is going on." And Mobius was like, "Yep, nope, you're a little rat trying to escape right now." And then he got thrown into that little time loop with Sif.
Which was brutal.
That was really brutal.
I feel like there has to be a worse memory, though. You know what I mean? Like, maybe just put an internal moment where Thanos keeps snapping his neck.
Oh, that would be so much worse.
I don't think
I know.
anybody wants to see that 10 times, though.
I know.
Imagine if that was the moment, like,
I know.
purple and gross.
I know. And I'm sure that'd be uncomfortable for Loki as well, just continuously dying over and over again. I was just saying, I was like, I feel like there's a worse situation than Sif going...
But to play devil's advocate, it was also a happy moment for him in a way, because it was the first time that he ever stood up for his brother. He realized that he really did love his brother and didn't want to side with somebody that
he died in the
tyrannical. He died honorably.
He looked horribly, but it was an honorable death.
He died honorably for the first time.
Yeah.
Because he dies multiple times. So that death, that was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I know what you mean. But that being said, pretty great little scene there. Not only does he get destroyed emotionally, but his balls get destroyed as well, which is I think is the worst part.
Nothing worse than that.
Eternal ball suffrage. Can't beat it.
Oh.
How long must our balls suffer?
Yeah, and he doesn't reset, so he feels every new blow to the balls.
I wonder if he was at towards the end of the as the resets were winding down, he was just staying on the ground. I wonder if he literally just couldn't stand because his balls had been kicked in.
He's trying to hide in different parts of the room.
He's behind a chair. Yeah.
Last scene, he's just like, "Please stop it, stop it!
I can't keep going." Yeah, it was good. But then Mobius kind of turns around on him and is like, "All right. Loki, maybe you're onto something," and then he gets disintegrated.
Straight up disintegrated.
He was fade into the ether, the abyss.
Time God reveal was a bit of a shit pant moment. I don't know what I expected, I guess, because it did seem in my head. I was like, okay, we're at episode 4. Getting a full reveal of the time gods already. I don't know whether I thought it was a little early or something, but it definitely didn't seem quite right during that whole scene. And then it was just, bam, off with their heads.
Yeah. At first, I thought she just murdered one, and I was like, they don't have any sort of protective shield or something.
Yeah.
The gods of time, and then I was like, oh no, they're robots.
Yeah, so I was like, you'd think they'd have some better protection here. They got 3 agents back here or something. Should just have an army, a legion, just standing in front of the time gods at all times.
It was definitely creepy though, seeing the head roll down and the other two were just kind of shaking and laughing.
The laugh was sus.
Yeah, it was freaky as hell.
I think one of the more interesting parts is that the woman in charge of the TVA has no idea what the heck is going on.
Maybe.
There's a possibility that she has some idea what's going on, but I initially was like, oh, she is the actual leader of this whole thing, and that and she's this person, and she's connected with this person. But immediately it was like, okay, she actually doesn't really know what's going on, but is so hell-bent on this ideal that she's set out of how the universe has to roll with time, that she's ready to protect it, even if she literally watches her gods get killed.
Yeah, to them they're still real to her. Their purpose, their meaning for existence still has purpose. So maybe she just doesn't want to know. I don't need to know what powers lie ahead of me.
Probably doesn't even want to think about it realistically.
Exactly. But,
I don't really. I don't really see how the TVA can really hold together much longer.
No. Everybody's getting like possessed.
Everybody's being possessed, but a lot of people are realizing the truth now. There's two of the main girl's main agents, or actually the like top 3 ones. The one girl got disintegrated much earlier. The first girl that got taken by Lady Loki.
She was on to something.
Yeah, because she realized that she was just another variant, and then her more recent head honcho girl at the end of the episode helps them fight in the time god room, and now she is completely in the know. Like, how many more people can she just disintegrate before people start being like, okay, well, what the heck is going on here? How much can you actually trust the TVA for so long with all that sketchiness going on?
It definitely seemed like there's like a lot of like the soldiers, at least, whether they're just like blissful ignorance or they do know, but they're kind of with Ravonna in the sense that she's like, we don't really know what created us, but we know that our purpose has meaning, so we're just going to keep doing our thing day in and day out. But I feel like there could be like a whole civil war with the TVA going on. About some people that are like, no, we're variants, we want to know our past, and others are like, but this is a good job to have right now. Good job, security.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because there's clearly like a ton of infrastructure within the TVA. I was rewatching episode 1, I guess, with one of my friends this past weekend, and I was paying just attention to different details that I hadn't thought to look at the first time. And the one thing I noticed was the guy that Loki threatens to turn into a fish, which he doesn't actually say, but that guy's like complaining to these 2 higher ups that are like these 2 old dudes who are wearing like a different style of uniform than the rest of the agents. So I was like, clearly there is some sort of like leadership. Yeah. So I think it'll be interesting to see, because the judge, or whatever position she has, I don't know, what is her character's name? Ravonna, yeah.
I noticed something. So
it seems like, they've portrayed her as being kind of a head honcho per se, but reasonably there's other people that maybe also were talking with the time gods, or that had a more direct link with who maybe was actually controlling things.
And one of my favorite shots of the series in the first episode, I think, it's when like Mobius and Loki are walking in that hallway, and then they like look out into the entirety of the TVA, and like that's a lot of stuff, and it looked like it went on forever in both ways and like forward. So yeah, there's a lot of infrastructure going on that could be turned on its head, like on the Civil War scale. We'll see.
So do you guys think that what is the main girl's name? Do we know?
Like Loki?
No, not female Loki.
The judge?
I guess the judge.
Her name is Ravonna, and in the comics, which could possibly lead to where the show's ending, but we'll see. In the comics, she is Kang the Conqueror's like lover.
Yeah, I did know that she's in love with Kang the Conqueror.
We'll see. I don't think thematically introducing Kang would make sense, but there's a lot of Kang connections.
Yeah, there is. There's
Kang
a lot
connections.
But do you think to me it seems like she doesn't know what's going on, but she's so devoted that she is now more just interested in how she can serve better or find who's actually in control, so she can just have a higher purpose in the TVA. But my suspicion is that she really doesn't know what's going on. But she really wants to, but she's still dedicated to the cause. Like, she's not turning them back just because of the sketchiness going on.
Yeah, even when she was asking, I don't know if this might be in episode 5 that I'm jumping on.
I'd say we're pretty much at episode 5.
when she was talking to Miss Minutes about like, yo, when was the TVA created? I almost said TSA. When was the TVA created? When was the TSA created, for that matter, as well? And Miss Minutes was like, if you want me looking into this right now. Like, Miss Minutes was like, oh, keep checking. Like, even she seemed kind of sus too. So it almost seems like that's just like a secret that no one in the TVA knows. But I mean, obviously, episode 6, we'll find out at the end of Loki. Episode 5, they're like, oh, there's a thing that might be the end.
I do think that we're getting a nice character development for both of the Lokis in the fact that they can trust people a little better.
It just has to be each other.
Loki likes Mobius.
Yeah, they have Mobius now.
That's true.
And even Lady Loki, Pepe Sylvia, she was I won't say she put like really any real faith into the judge lady, but she for a moment seemed like she was letting her try to help her. I mean, it was mainly for selfish reasons, kind of holding her hostage, but more towards like Mobius and other Loki, and both Lokis, I should say. They're starting to be a little bit more trusting. Like their characters are developing a little bit more in terms of them not just being purely
self-centered dicks.
Anarchy. Yeah. And we got to see a wide plethora of Lokis in episode 5 of varying degrees of trustworthiness.
Excellent vernacular.
So many great moments in the episode 5. If we're going into that.
Yes.
Let's dive headfirst into it. Favorite Loki, go. Boring answer is Richard E. Grant, because obviously he was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, you gotta go with him. It was just too good, dude. Every moment that he was on screen was fantastic.
Yeah,
disagree. I think the best acting went to Crocodile Loki.
That's what Cole was gonna say.
It was an alligator Loki, but I couldn't agree more. The random growls and hisses, and then there was that whole Loki throwdown.
I can't believe they got Rex Jaws for that. You know, I mean, he's been in some big films, and I know he's really hard to get on. He's very like a diva.
Yeah.
Like he needs his own. He needs like a 30,000 gallon tank that comes along. They bring it on like a 20 wheeler.
At a certain temperature.
Yeah.
2 60-wheelers. It's a lot, but
And
they were
some
able to land him,
4-wheelers.
and I think that the money really showed. It was well worth it. Every
That was where most of the budget for the show was probably going, if I had to guess. He's
Well,
like $1 million a minute.
He's eccentric. Just all the different Lokis and the most Loki thing, they all started betraying each other on like one quick succession. Like the Loki's like, nah, I sold you guys out. And then he's like, well, actually, I sold you guys out. And they all turn on the main one. Then Alligator Loki just runs over and chomps his hand off. I was like, what is going on? It was just so creative and different. And I could definitely, after that episode, see some potential Spider-Verse shiz popping up with a bunch of Spider-Man in one movie.
For sure.
We'll see. I don't want to get my hopes up.
I one cool thing that they did was like there was so many like little details in that episode from stuff getting dumped in there. I mean, I think I saw 2 or 3 Mjolnirs. And there was one part where they're panning below the ground where you see the very defined Mjolnir, but it looks like there's a tiny Loki
in a jar,
like stuck in a
it's
jar.
not a tiny Loki.
That's Frog Thor.
Yes.
That who that was?
Yes.
And he's voiced by Chris Hemsworth.
I paused it right on it. Did not look like a frog to me. Not at all.
Well, I mean, obviously standing upright, but yeah, he's wearing like the classic Thor gear.
Yeah.
He's like trying to grab Mjolnir.
Dude, I was like, okay, what was that? I rewound it, like inched to it, paused it. I was like, I went up to my TV. I was like, what is that?
Jerry's coming back.
Enhance.
Enhance image computer.
I meant to say, it looked like a Thor. I was so confused. It didn't look like a frog. It was so tiny.
Half Thor, half frog.
Yeah, but I there was like that little detail, and then I thought the boy Loki, I thought it was sick that
Killed Thor.
that he killed his variant, his what do they call it? What made him
Offshoot. Yeah. Oh, Nexus event.
Nexus event? Yeah,
Yeah,
his
that was
Nexus
crazy.
event was that he killed Thor, and I was
Hard.
like, oh, dang.
I like that on his like crown. He had like the two little Loki horns, but he also had wings on the side, kind of like how Thor usually does. 'Cause he just kinda, like, adopted that moniker too. That was pretty badass, but not as badass as showing the pure power of a Loki being able to like create an illusion of literally the entirety of Asgard.
That was so dope.
That
Dude,
was
for-
such
For a
cool
second,
moment.
I thought it wasn't going to be an illusion, and I was like, oh, matter manipulation is now... I wasn't
Oh,
aware
Loki
that this
power.
was Wanda.
Yeah, it was crazy, and then even Loki was like, "I think we're a lot more powerful than we realize."
Yeah.
Yes, let's see some proper like. Loki's a god, but he's never felt like it. Like
It-
even he was going toe to toe with Captain America. What kind of shit is that? He's a god.
It kind of
That
made
was
me think a little bit about what we were saying in the earlier episodes about like getting to see that different Lokis have different kind of power sets or like move sets, and I was like, oh, maybe it's more just like they've all adopted certain things that they use all the time based on whatever situations they had, but realistically they can all do these different things. Just like Loki had never done the what did they? Yeah, the mind manipulation. Enchantment. Yeah, he had never done the enchantment, but then he was able to just because they are all Lokis. So I feel like, yeah, maybe we'll see crazy Loki stuff in the future
He could do
as
that.
long as he
I
doesn't
hope
die.
so.
That was like the final Loki. He said that like I think I could be misremembering, but like he said that Loki faked his death with Thanos and just kind of floated in the universe.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
what
like,
he said.
it's like the final Loki, like the most Loki.
Yeah, he was able to get like grow to old age because he literally just floated away, like you said, and then he went and hid on a planet alone. He wasn't allowed because you're not allowed to interact with anybody or you change
Yeah.
the timeline. So
Right.
his way of hiding was just to hide in solitude.
Yeah.
But-
Gamer.
He
got bored.
obviously he got to hone his skills a little bit, so we kind of get to. He was kind of like a little show and tell of what Loki power can grow to, and that's
Yes.
with no combat. Like that's just him chilling out and just kind of
Well,
testing
yeah.
things out.
So that was
So
just one of his powers is a whole illusion thing. He knows
Exactly.
What else to do.
Dude, he
Really
could have
cool.
done, yeah, he could have done crazy stuff. If
Yeah.
it had been a physical city, though, that would have been insane. It also would have just looked so dope to see it all just getting smashed to bits.
that was just
Yeah.
Asgard again, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I was initially like, whoa, he's just dreaming up this, like, city
Nope.
just from nothingness.
It's
Yeah.
like the almost like piano organ tubes that like okay, no, this is Asgard.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Richard E. Grant just like completely killed the role for like he's in one
He did.
episode in like one part of an episode, and just absolutely was a standout in that episode. So I'm glad that they did that. But after he creates that giant illusion, we get to see some sort of space castle or something like that, and we'll see who's actually behind the TVA. Maybe.
Maybe.
Oh,
Any
man.
final predictions as to who or what it is?
Dude, I mean, like, it could be Kang, and obviously this is another one of those Mephisto, could be Mephisto situations, so I think it's probably not, but I don't know, it's hard to imagine that it's hard to imagine that they introduce this crazy villain that's been manipulating everything, and then that villain is then gone in one episode, you know what I mean? So I think we're
Yeah.
either gonna see, like, major introduction and then, like, sort of conclusion to the TVA arc,
But
but
not
then
Kang.
introduction to, like, chaos that is caused by this entity
Yeah.
being made known, basically. So I don't know. I don't have a name. I feel like it could be any number of.
Jared?
Yeah, I feel like Kane is, for some, I feel like everybody thinks it's Kane the Conqueror. Like that's the most common one.
And there's a
But-
lot more ties to Kang than there was to Mephisto.
There
but
is, and
but
I've
it
said
does feel
in,
like we're grasping.
I feel like in previous episodes I've said that like there's too many things pointing to him that it can't not be him. But with this much stuff, I almost feel like it's just like they're trying to make us think that it's Kane, and it's gonna be somebody completely else. I feel like it has to be somebody else because everybody expects it.
Mm-hmm.
I think thematically it'd make most sense if it was a variant Loki made the TVA, and like he has to take down like the worst version of himself or something like that. And like again, because the whole show is about like what is Loki, what is the purpose of Loki, what's the best Loki can be, what's the worst he can be, all this kind of thing. So I think it'd make the most sense that it was a variation of Loki, but was hiding out in that little space fortress. But there's so many ties to Kang that I could see them introducing Kang, and then having, like you said, the TVA wrap up, but still leaving Kang out there or whatever. But I don't think that would. It'd feel like a lot to kind of like how we start to feel towards the end of WandaVision, when it's like, all right, well, if you're doing Mephisto, there's a lot you got to do in one episode left, like just to throw it in there and then have the whole story resolved, but you're still introducing new things. So it's tough. I think it's a Loki, but that's just me.
Sylvia and Loki both enchanted that big beast. So if that beast is connected to the mind of the person that created it, they should have snippets already of the person that it belongs to. I'm not 100% sure that that's how that works, because it could just be a demon.
Jared's not a magician.
I'm not a magician.
Wow.
Like John, who just guesses everything right.
Abracadabra, bitch.
And his head grew 2 inches. But I feel like they might already have like maybe some sort of intuition of who or what that beast is at least, because that's how that power works apparently. So that will be interesting. I feel like we're definitely gonna get some answers very quickly in the next episode.
Again, not everything has to be tied to the comics, but obviously this is where they get their inspiration from.
Really?
I don't know if you've heard of Marvel, Stanley, Jack Kirby.
Stanley?
Only an aficionado like me would.
Stanley what?
Stanley Hudson.
Yeah.
Saw
that coming.
But in the comics, that like beast literally like devours existence and time. So like it's not like, because time is obviously like one continuous infinity line. Yeah. It's literally the end of that line, kind of chomping at it.
Yeah.
So it is tied to like Kang, because Kang knows he always has to avoid that thing because it can just end him.
Too many things connecting Kang.
Exactly. There's so many things that tie to Kang that
Kang
it'd be weird if they
actions.
didn't do Kang, but it would also be weird if they did do Kang. So I don't know what to think.
We're really caught in the middle.
I think they're gonna. I feel like this is the time they might just do it. I think they might actually do it.
We know Kang is being introduced.
That's what I'm saying. We know he's gonna be in what
Ant-Man
was it that
3.
he's? Yeah. So it's like now's the time. Bring him out.
Yeah.
Unveil.
It could be like a Avengers 1 sort of build-up thing where they're like, oh well, that was Thanos' army.
Yeah.
Here we're building up to it. We're not gonna do anything with
Who's that
them.
purple guy in the after credits?
We're building up. Exactly. We're building up to him, and so I think maybe this is. It could be as simple as we're building up to him.
It'll be who's that blue guy after the credits?
Ironically, he also has a lot of purple on him too. So I guess
it's the same. It's the same.
It's the
sequence,
same shot too. Yeah.
Sitting there with the watchers and stuff.
Like, yeah. So I don't know. We'll you have to stay tuned, audience, to when season 1 wraps up.
Crazy.
This Wednesday.
Crazy.
One thing before we
Next
move
Monday.
on.
No, we're moving on. Jared, we're done.
One thing before we move on. The Pepe, Sylvia, and Loki had an even more magical moment in that episode with the whole blanket.
That was very cute.
I thought that actually that was going to be the time he made the move, but it still didn't happen.
He even had like a look on his face. Like,
I know. They kept talking to each other. I
It's
thought
right
it was
here.
gonna happen, and their relationship weirds me out so much. But at the
Is
same
it
time,
incest? Or is it like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, if they were to have a baby, how messed up would that baby
wouldn't
be?
it be like the
It'd
most
be like a
messed
clone.
up because because like your DNA is too similar with like a sibling.
That's
But
like
like if
mega
you did it with
incest.
yourself, it's the same DNA. So what kind of monstrosity would that make?
You would just poop out literally another Loki.
Yo, random theory. What if it is the baby of that?
I already thought
Like
of that, and I was like, "There's no fucking way."
The baby,
That would
the
just
fucking
be-
Sylvia and Loki.
That would
is
be the
greatest
dumbest.
DNA.
If that's what it is, Cole,
It's just
I'm gonna
like the
give you a.
formed baby like.
I'm gonna give you a crisp $5 bill, and then I'm gonna quit life.
Winne has dropped off the radar. We now have no way of making
I
videos.
say good day.
I mean, the comic books aren't afraid of doing weird stuff, but
Yeah.
as
It's the
on-screen,
Yeah.
on-screen movie cinema universe, it's we're walking some touchy waters here.
Dangerous territory.
Quite.
But that's all.
Travis
I had to
Marvel
say.
would handle incest so well.
Maybe she has some pheromones that make it so he won't be able to.
We'll
touch
get
her.
there, Winne. We'll get there. One step at a time. So yeah, Loki episode 6. Stay tuned. We'll be talking about it next Monday for sure. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
No buts.
No buts on the premise. So let's segue with our segues into the Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty episode 3.
Tina and her Tourette's.
Only you can prevent.
Wildfires in Australia.
Yes.
What do we think of
Yes.
the Planetina episode?
Dude, I like this episode a lot. I thought it had a lot of heart for a Rick and Morty episode, which is like, they do those sometimes, I suppose. There's been episodes like this in the past, but it really was just very well written and simultaneously extremely entertaining the whole time. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt so bad for Morty at the end of it, and they sort of pulled one of the classic like 2.5D shots like they did with Rick the other episode there where he was standing in the garage, but this time it was Morty lying on his bed, and it was like, damn, I just felt so bad for the little dude. Then having the mom come in, show emotion, which is like so uncharacteristic of her, it was like just a pure moment.
Yeah, it felt more focused on heart this episode. Like usually when Rick and Morty's done some like very serious or like heartwarming things or like really sad things that pull at the heartstrings, it's like a little snippet or the result of the entire episode, which is just insanity and absurdity. Versus it felt like a lot of this was pretty focused on heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have very mixed feelings on this episode. I both thought it was fine. I think my problem with the episode in general was that it felt like it's such a short episode that the whole entire introduction of girlfriend, getting to know him, now they're dating, now she's crazy, now they're broken up. It all happened so fast in such a short episode. I felt like I couldn't.
You couldn't.
It was sad. It was sad, but at the same time, I couldn't. It didn't make me as sad as some of the other moments that Rick and Morty has done in the past. That made you like sad during the sad moments of Rick and Morty. I liked that they tried to do this because it's like it's a story that basically everybody goes through. It's a very relatable story, but I couldn't quite get there because of how rushed it felt. I also didn't think it was really because of the serious nature of the episode. I found myself laughing a lot less. It wasn't as funny. I would say it's a more bottom tier comedy episode.
You saying that these elbow titties didn't do it for you, Jarod? I think it was maybe that you found yourself in a place where you were questioning yourself, because you said to yourself, I didn't know that I was into this kind of thing, and here I am, typing certain searches into the internet that I never thought I'd be searching, to be quite honest. I understand that, Jarod. I initially had that same reaction, but then I came to understand that, sometimes some things are attractive, and one of those things is apparently elbow titties.
Yeah. Probably I keep finding the negative in things, but also probably my least favorite side plot / Rick storyline. I've never had usually if the storyline is centered on Rick, or even Rick's a part of it, it's the best part of the episode. That was not the case in this episode. That was my least favorite part of the episode, where Morty's side was a lot stronger. I liked it a lot more.
Rick was thinking with his dick, which he almost usually never does. Like, even when he's like thinking with his dick, sometimes like his like brain will pull him out or something like that. This was just like he was acting dumb.
The elbow titties and the pheromones, dog.
He couldn't, bro.
Yeah, it was. The side plot was. The side plot just felt like a more funny, less serious version of what was happening on Earth too, like about how love is fleeting or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of just showing the duality of that situation, in that, like, yeah, Rick was heading at it one very wrong way, and then Morty simultaneously was basically seeing what happens when you think that you're maybe going at it the right way, but don't have someone like Summer to blow up the asteroid.
Yeah.
That's true. So, I don't know. I see, I'm like somewhere in the middle. Like, I rewatched it, and I was definitely feeling a lot more like emotionally attached, and I was like, they're going for the emotion, and I'm like, I can feel it a lot more in this episode. But like you said, everything was very like this like usually something will happen in a movie and we get to see some of the fallout for that, or like a TV show, we get to see some of the fallout, we get to sit with it and really see how it impacts things, versus everything as soon as there was an impact, something else happened, and then like the status quo kept being changed from scene to scene when it was going back. And they did everything well, but it was just so sequential.
And I always find that Rick and Morty does such a good job of subverting your expectations, and that episode was very predictable in some ways. Like, you saw the path that it was going, but usually in episodes like that, they're like, all right, now we're going in this universe and it's a totally different feel or different thing going on or totally different problem, and they just drop the last thing. But because they were trying to do like a serious episode, they had to stick to it. And like I said, I liked the episode, but
not as good as episode 1. Maybe better than episode 2.
Yeah,
I liked it. I liked it. I'll be honest here. I liked the episode, and I'll also be honest and say that clearly I am only saying that because I'm open about my love for the elbow titties, and you guys are clearly closeted on that, which I respect. But I just want you to know you can be open. This is a safe space.
I will never admit my love for the elbow tits.
You keep subverting my expectations by making me think that you're gonna say something else, and then you just keep going back.
Right back.
Well, that's the focus of the episode.
Somebody's more hung on the tits than others.
It seems like you guys just don't want to talk about it. So I'm just saying.
Winne mentally did not watch the rest of the episode. He saw the
mentally and physically. I left the room. I did go do some research.
He saw the pixelated
titties.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
He just keeps
Hello.
Hello.
How to depixelate images.
So yeah. And there definitely hasn't been another episode of Rick and Morty released, so clearly there's nothing else to talk about on the Rick and Morty. No. Jarod, what did you say? Nothing? Sounds right. Definitely no other episodes to talk about.
No more episodes of Rick and Morty. Sad.
Sorry.
I think that's about it for Richard.
Yeah. That's all we can cover.
What about angry group of guys
that are all the same?
that are
slightly
all
different characteristics.
not good. The not good group.
We got 2 episodes of mediocre thing to cover.
Honestly, guys, I'm going to drop a not very hot take and say that this show has been kind of disappointing. I think what I'm saying is, like, dude, 8 episodes of the actual story would have been phenomenal. Like, the episodes that have been relating to active events, such as were set up in seemingly what was going to be the plot of the show, it would have just been... those were great episodes.
Yep.
And it would have been a great show had they
Quality over quantity.
And we talked about it literally right at the beginning. I'm sure we could go back and even listen to this exact conversation. And it was just kind of sad to see it actualized when it's just such a good medium. Like, and you have such a plethora of content that you don't even need to make these bullshit episodes. Like, it could have all been related to the main plot and still been 16 episodes if they wanted to do it, and they still could have had good episodes.
Yeah. Instead, we just get, like, it felt, man, I had that, like, kind of, that was my one complaint with Mandalorian, is that every other episode was, like, a little side mission, but at least it, like, fleshed out the world, and it was, like, it felt cool, everything looked cool, usually good action sequences or something like that. But in these side episodes, it's just, like, a boring planet where we get a very surface level breakdown of how the Empire is affecting the universe, and then it's just Bad Batch doing some little quirky mission. And then we'll cut back to what the really good stuff is with, like, Cad Bane and Crosshairs and Omega being kidnapped and all this kind of stuff. And then we're back to these stupid little side planets and missions that we know that Bad Batch is going to make it out.
Yeah.
It's getting a little repetitive.
Yeah.
There's no
I
threat in any of them. I think that's almost like another point to it just not being that exciting. It's like, in all of these episodes where it's not a big story, that, like, Hunter isn't about to randomly just die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen. Like, if he gets, or like the Omega in the one early episode when they're on the farm, like with that animal that's outside the fence. Like, Omega isn't gonna just get thrashed by that. Like, that's not gonna occur. So it's like almost you have to be in some sort of, you have to just be like a kid watching it and be like, oh no, oh my, oh boy,
it feels way more similar to
dangerous out
Rebels
there.
and much less similar to Clone Wars, which is unfortunate because I was hoping it was going to be closer to the latter. And it has moments of it, but not a lot.
I think one of the problems is that, like, Clone Wars had so much stuff to flesh out that people wanted to see more of. Like, they got to touch more on a bunch of villains like Maul, Grievous. They got to do a lot of more character building with Anakin, Obi-Wan. A lot of the characters that died in Order 66, they got to flesh them all out. There was just so much to do that people wanted to watch, and now most of them are dead, so we're basically just going off of
Fumes.
like bounty hunters, the Bad Batch, and the new characters that they bring in. And it's just you can't, it's not as exciting because there's not as much immediate interest in a lot of what's going on because it's post Order 66. But in one thing that I will say is that, like, they don't have to be, like, quite as much pigeonholed as Clone Wars was. So they could branch off and do some really cool stuff. Sadly, they haven't.
Yeah,
So the show has, like you said, John, the median is like, there's so much that you can do, and I hope that it runs a really long time and they have really good ideas that they put in there eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, it does feel a lot of filler episodes, and I like that they're showing different worlds and the effect of the post the post Order 66, but it's not interesting enough. It's got to be something better than what we're
No,
getting,
no,
which
no.
is, like you said, Cole, these half-hearted looks into these worlds where it's just one city fighting back.
We could have like I thought it was extremely interesting how they started off with the whole Kaminoans, and I was like, yeah, that is a really interesting topic because they were funding literally the war, and like now, and I was like, oh, are we gonna get to see them try to be like, yo, here's some new clones you could use, or like watch the Empire slowly shift them out. They pretty much dropped off after episode 4, besides like one scene, and I was like, I want to know what they're doing. We kind of got like a cool little thing where like it was like, oh, you have to register with the Empire. What if some people just kind of like living a nice chill life and they don't want to register and all this kind of stuff? And now we're just getting to what we already knew about the Empire, which is like, yeah, they're oppressive, but and they're just trying to fold people into their whole organization. And we're just getting very surface level stuff of like planets being like, hey, we're not about this. Don't say that you're not about it. Show why they wouldn't be about it. Because we haven't seen anything besides registration and them cutting off all the clones that like is like a bad thing. We just know that the Empire is bad, so the people are also against it. It'd be cool if we went to a planet that was actually like really embracive of it. Like, oh, our society is falling apart. We need somebody to come in and govern us. Nope, we're not getting that. Imagine Bad Batch like going and be like, they want the Empire. What if like this is not a clear-sided battle? This isn't good versus evil. This is like independence versus uniformity. I don't know. There's just so many things that they could do and kind of carry over from like the Clone Wars to show how things evolved, and instead we're just setting up stuff that we already know what happens with, like Hera from Rebels and Saw Gerrera and like all this kind of stuff. I'm getting, like Winnie said, I'm getting a little disappointed with it. I like the chemistry between the 5 Bad Batch members, but other than that, it's losing me.
Well, especially the most recent episode, like
They weren't even in it.
they were barely in it, and I was like, this story that they're telling the most recent episode is so far from what I want that it was so disappointing. I just like, I was waiting for this like huge thing to happen and it just didn't, and it was a slog. Like it was just not good.
Yeah.
I think we're expecting, this is what we need, okay? We need to start petitioning, okay, to get Bad Batch canceled, okay? Because what happens when Clone Wars almost gets canceled? They put out all their best ideas. They put out all their best ideas because they think, oh, well, we had all these good stuff, but we held off too long. We'll just shove them all out now. So I petition, we get it, we try to get it canceled, then we don't get it canceled. So we get all these cool stories, and then we do that every season.
Yes.
So they never know when they're gonna get canceled.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're constantly on the edge.
Isn't it
Let's
just
hope it's
Always making cool stuff.
Doesn't it
Go ahead, Winne.
strike you as weird though? Like, it's not as though these are being made week to week. The whole show was surely written beforehand. Like at the minimum,
At least entirety of season 1.
It was all written beforehand. So they start very strong with a lot of like clear potential plot lines and even clear lines that they could have used for more like side questy episodes, but that would still be like meaningful. And yet then they just throw them all away. It's like very odd in that it's not as though there wasn't places for them to take it. It was like we watched the first couple episodes, saw where it could go, saw like the logical places, the interesting places it could go, and then Disney was like, and it's a kids show, and the Bad Batch, where they gonna go, and like that was the rest of the show. Like and then
It's once they got in debt to freaking Lizzo. Lizzo literally ruins everything. She's gonna ruin Firefly, and she's ruining the show.
And she's too green.
Way too green.
I think they should take the idea of like just jumping around in time from Clone Wars.
I think an
Like,
episode
pick
like
the interesting stories. Like, maybe I mean, it might be a little hard, but like because they've got a kid with them, and the kid would change ages rapidly. But as of right now, because it's so close to being after Order 66, nothing's established, nothing's happening. It's people starting to get like testy with the new way things are, but it's not. Nothing has bubbled over the edge. It's all just at a simmer right now, and it's
not,
just
and
it's just
things aren't
boring.
getting bigger. It's not getting like
Well,
ramping up.
it's too slow. It's like every episode is just the tiniest little tidbit of what it's building, I guess, trying to build up to, but it's so slow that if it's like
you can't mark the growth. Yeah.
And you can't even
It
predict.
started off good, and then it's just gonna be a whole shit ball in the middle, and then maybe at the end it will be good again. But I don't wanna eat the whole shit ball. If it,
No one wants to eat a ball of shit. Nobody wants to do that.
if it's two cinnamon buns on the top and bottom, the cinnamon buns aren't worth it if it's a shit ball in the middle.
And even if you took the shit, even if you take that off, it still will have like a little bit of shit on the bottom of it. You know what I mean? You can't get away from it.
And you know you're eating shit.
You'll still know that there was shit there.
Yes. You know what this all kind of reminded me of? Well, actually, I don't know that this is the greatest comparison, actually, when I think about it. But
Let's hear it.
To me, like, I think this is maybe a better comparison, I think, for Loki, about how I felt on the end of Loki. What I was going to say is, like, with the end of Game of Thrones, there were all of these things that you were like, don't these things have to happen? There's not enough time for these things to happen. And all of those things happened, but then it was just shitty because it was, like, not good, like, not planned out.
It was all so fast.
And so that applies great to Loki, but to Bad Batch, it's a similar thing where you're like, well, is season 1 a complete story? What is even what? How there's no
objective.
Yeah, there's no objective.
No what is the end goal that we are working to right now? Every single time one has been offered to the group, they say no. They say we don't know what we're supposed to be doing right now, so we're trying to figure that out. How are they figuring that out? By doing random? Are they going on quests to figure it out? No, they're going on quests because they owed somebody money. What happens when that's paid off? Then they're just back into just doing whatever. So, like, nothing changes. The only thing that has any sort of, like, could have some sort of emotional resonance is getting Crosshairs back on the team. But we've seen little steps to even see them show interest in wanting to try to rescue him or something like that. It's just kind of like, well, he's evil, so.
I think, I think you said it perfectly there, where the premise of the show is the problem. The premise, or the thing that's driving them is survival. That's it. That's literally it. There's no, like, other real special thing about it. They're just trying to survive.
Dynamic.
And that they're going to most planets just fine.
But literally everybody in that universe is just trying to survive. Yeah. It's not interesting. It's not unique. There's nothing special about the Bad Batch because they're just one of many people that are being hunted by the Empire.
And we don't necessarily care any more about them, you know.
Than we do about Obi-Wan trying to survive, or Captain Rex, or Ahsoka, or any of these people. And we could, but we don't, like. We were told from the first few episodes that they are like a major target and they need to be brought down because they have a lot of stuff that they could use to take down the Empire. And we've seen them maybe be caught up with by the Empire like twice. And other than that, it's just like little escapes. Like they accidentally bumped into the Empire, not them like, oh shit, they're on us right now. It's more like, oh hey, Empire, we should probably leave this planet. Like they're going everywhere just fine. So it's like it doesn't feel like they have to lie low because they haven't and they're doing just fine.
Yeah, and that goes back to the whole Star Wars problem where they keep doing stuff in the past where they've written stuff before it and after it. So how much effect can the Bad Batch have, really?
That they haven't been mentioned in other movies.
That they haven't mentioned in anything else. They can't have that astronomical of an effect. So, like, what am I looking forward to?
End of season 1, they find something that enables them to go through time, and then they go back to Order 66 and they save a bunch of Jedi. Dude, imagine if something that it's scary.
Well, it
it's a
could
scary
happen.
thing to say. It's a scary thing to say because
Winnie, you can't say things like that.
Oh, I
because
shouldn't have said it.
All your things come true.
I shouldn't have
You
said
just
it.
ruined Star Wars.
Damn it, Winnie. Damn it, Winnie.
I'm gonna go.
Prophecy has
I-
been spoken.
go.
And now it is true.
Well, now we got it. Now, audience, that's a little spoiler alert for how season 1 of Bad Batch is gonna end.
I didn't mean to
for,
do it, guys. I'm sorry.
Come on.
Winnie's.
I actually haven't told you guys. I am Dave Filoni. That's
Man.
right. I'm currently working on my film adaptation of Wallace and Gromit: The Lost Slipper. Huge thing, but also incidentally, in my free time here and there, I'll walk into the Star Wars thing
You're like,
over there.
you should do this.
Yeah, you know that lizard character? That was my idea. I said, you should get someone who's green. And they were like, oh, Dave.
And that's how they took it.
And everyone bowed down to me because I am Dave Filoni.
What if there was like a batch of clones, but they were like
Bad.
bad?
They're not good clones. But the Order 66, they're all bad. But these ones are special.
What if clones hit different?
And that was how this show was spawned. What if
I
clones
feel
are
like
different?
I feel like if we had angry commenters, they would just be saying, "This is a kids' show. Stop expecting so much."
If we had commenters, they would just be definitely angry at like most of our takes, I think, probably.
We welcome it. We need feedback. Otherwise, we're just gonna get nothing. I'll take angry commenters over no commenters.
That's what I'm saying. I would love to have people
So
roast
people
me.
watching this video, go comment on other videos like, hey, these guys have stupid takes. Go roast them. Go eat them alive, and then we can become like a weird like celebrity profile that just kind of is famous for having bad opinions.
Yeah.
If that's what it takes to get famous, I don't care. I don't need the dignity. I just want to be famous.
Seriously though.
What's
Come
up,
on.
bro?
You know what I just want to do?
Famous.
I just want to rate Bad Batch
Right now.
right now. And I'm giving it a... And that's out of 1,000 decibels. And you could probably barely hear that sound.
Oh shoot. Oh man, I would give
Jarod,
it.
you got a
like,
ranking?
oof. I would give it like when you go to the bathroom and it splashes up and it licks your taint with the water. That's what I'd give it.
Okay. Mine's gonna be also bathroom and poop related. You know how you have like, you feel like you have like a sharp turd coming out, almost like you have like a Dorito going straight down your
peanut.
anus?
This is...
I would say more like a Dorito, like scraping the walls, and you're like, oh my god, it's so bad, and it's going on forever that you have no idea when it ends. And then one
Much
day,
like this
one
description of the rating.
it'll just end, and then you're like, oh, I guess it's over.
It's a relief.
That's where I'm at right now. So if there was a sound to accompany it, it'd be like,
Please. Well, now that we've rated Bad Batch, you know what the only other thing that I want to know is?
What would that be?
How to jump from a moving train.
Why
I
don't
was
you?
actually
How
wondering that.
how do you think you'd? I feel like you just hurt yourself. Like that, I'm predicting without looking at this that it's going to be bullshit, much like all of their other things.
I would say something regarding ducking and rolling is probably
tuck?
gonna be,
Tuck and roll.
yeah.
Grab a duck and then roll.
All right,
And you're on a
this is
Throw it on the
that's
ground
how you do
beneath you and land on
this
it.
is a
Land
simple
on the duck.
7-step process, guys. Simple.
Simple 7 steps. Aren't you just yeeting yourself off a train to begin with?
You need to put some thought into it. You know, you're trying to avoid injury. So you're going to start by moving to the end of the last car. If that's not an option, you can jump from between cars, but the last car is ideal.
Is this jumping from a train to the ground? I thought this was jumping from a train to another train, like train hopping.
No, train to ground. I don't understand.
Well, now I don't care.
No, now I don't care.
Now, if you have time, you want to wait for the train to slow as it rounds a bend. Oh, okay. I thought it was just going to say wait for it to slow down, and I was like, yeah. But it says as it rounds the bend, so you could wait till the bend, and then you have a bit of time.
Slow down.
Stuff blankets, clothing, or seat cushions underneath your clothes. So you got a hoodie. You take your pillow that you have with you in the train, and you put that under your hoodie.
Sounds like this man was like prepping.
You also have a mattress. Blow that out.
I was thinking like this was like a spur of the moment kind of thing. Not,
Yeah, that's what I was
I'm prepped.
Somebody
Pick your landing spot. Avoid. Now this is important. Avoid trees.
Oh yeah.
And
Also
rocks.
jump right into him.
I was thinking
The actual sentence they have
what's
is
a good place to land that rock.
they have avoid trees, comma, bushes, comma, and of course rocks.
Rocks.
Of course.
Get as low to the floor as possible, bending your knees so you can leap away
Round
from
the
the train
floor.
car.
Crawl out of the train.
Floor.
You want to get super low to the ground.
And you're just
all
gonna
the way.
jump perpendicular to the train.
Slide like
Superman.
a
Perpendicular. You don't want to jump on the tracks because there's more train behind.
More train.
Unless you're, of course,
I
in the
thought
last.
I thought we already established we went to the end. Of
Well, there's a
If
but
it's
if you there's a chance that you don't make it back there. You could be being chased. Now, when you jump, cover and protect your head with your hands and arms, and roll like a log when you land. Now they've accompanied this
like
with
a log.
like a log.
Like-
They've accompanied it with a graphic here. So step 1, jumping. Step 2, the train going by as you've landed next to the train. And step 3, you rolling away, similar to a log fashion.
How did
The
that girl
last
flip
image
her
is-
body 90 degrees in the air? Like she
Because
Well, basically she pulled it's an epic spin move.
Needle like a dive, and then it just shows her parallel with the train rolling like that. So you have to do some quarter like.
You know, Cole,
like a
that's very
course
interesting, and they
with it.
specifically said to jump perpendicular, so I think that's
They
a
said
bit of
jump picular, and like it shows
Picular?
her diving.
jump picular.
Jump picular with the train.
Jump picular McDicular. Well,
and then you have to just at some point in the air do one of these and then roll.
interesting.
That just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, but ultimately we know how to jump from the moving train, though, now.
Yeah, just wait for it to stop.
Oh,
I
next
would've-
week we're gonna learn how to jump from rooftop to rooftop.
Much more applicable.
I'm gonna give you a little.
my
I'm gonna
lifestyle.
give you a little sampler, guys. Step 6 from jumping from rooftop to rooftop. Leap.
In case you didn't think that was an important step.
You gave away the most crucial.
Well-
How is there 5 steps before leap?
The question is, how is this a book?
I can't imagine that there's 5 steps leading up to leaping.
We'll come back next week to understand. You don't want to never go up on a rooftop and just leap, because that you will not get to another rooftop. There is key. I bet one of the steps is like identifying another rooftop you can jump onto. They're like, if you can't fly.
Imagine you have superpowers.
You don't, but
You don't. But
Leap.
imagine
but leap.
Step 1, imagine you have superpowers. Step 2, realize
Leap.
that you don't.
Step 3, put this book down. These are not real life situations.
Step 4, get realistic with your life. Grow up.
Step 5, look up, realize this train is being robbed and you need to jump off, but you've just put the book down and you no longer know it.
Leap.
Oh, wait.
Why are
Step
you
7,
jumping off
open
the
up the
train?
Sci-Fi Rebellion podcast and skip to the very end where you'll find crucial tips about survival and figure out how to jump off the train via that.
And while you're at it, hear them listen to talk about Bad Batch.
Yes.
And
Well, come back next week, guys, if you want to learn how to leap and the other steps, as well as, I suppose, if you'd be interested in coverage of the final episode of Loki, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's
that is
crazy. We got another episode of everyone's favorite show, Bad
Rain.
Gentlemen. And Richard and Morty, I heard they're going to release 2 on one Sunday. It's really strange.
Well, no, it's like a Sunday that just doesn't exist. That's when they're releasing it, so it'll just pop into existence.
Phantom.
It's weird. I don't know.
Phantom Sunday.
It's Rick and Morty does Rick and Morty.
It's probably a parallel universe or something type thing.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, stay tuned, everybody. Make sure you hit like because I know you liked it. I know that not a single person didn't enjoy this for a fact. I can guarantee it. Comment what your favorite color of eyeball is. It could be any color, as long as it's a real eyeball color.
Magenta.
And then hit the notification bell because that's what the YouTubers say to do. And
Do
the
it.
YouTubers say do it. And if you're on Spotify, still hit the notification bell.
Download it.
And
Even if you're gonna just listen to it once, just download it. Just do it anyway. So you can take
What's
a
that sound?
Winne has possibly. It's possible he forgot that you can't hear drum because it doesn't.
You have to imagine the drums, and actually this is an electronic drum, and I was playing sound effect noise.
I'll add some.
Okay. Hey, what's that other sound?
I think
No, it's the outro theme.
Oh, God. I'm
No.
going to compete with it.